Good evening, friends. Today in this video, we'll be talking about three different issues which are related to environment, economy and urban development. So आज के इस टॉपिक में हम बात करेंगे तीन अलग अलग टॉपिक की विच आर मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट। कि पहला टॉपिक तो ये है कि जीडीपी कैसे डाउन जा रहा है। What are the reasons that GDP of India has been falling and continuously and it has reached to somewhere around 5%. So what was the reason of behind it? And the second question we'll be discussing in this video would be about climate change. What are the reasons behind climate change and what are the reasons, what are the causes and how the climate change जो phenomena climate change का हो रहा है, how we can deal with it. And the third questions we'll be dealing in this video would be of urban development. There are two aspects of urban development, positive and negative. What are the positives of urban development and what are the negatives of urban development? Though we all notice whenever the questions comes about urban development, so we think of negative aspects more. But there are some positive aspects also for urban development. So we'll be discussing in this video about both of the positives and negatives. So let me start with the first questions. Why India's GDP has been falling continuously and it has reached to 5% somewhere? What are the reasons behind? So as we all know, 2 days back in the newspaper also the same topic was discussed. The article was given in Hindu 2 days back. So what are the reasons? If you have read that articles, you might notice the first reasons of first cause behind a slowdown in GDP as of the structural in nature. I mean the moment जो productions है हमारा, GDP is the productions of the goods and services inside the country. बट प्रोडक्शंस तो हुआ है बट डिमांड नहीं हुई है. एग्रीगेट डिमांड हैज स्लो डाउन एंड विच हैज कॉस्ट इन फैक्ट द जीडीपी टू कम डाउन, जिसकी वजह से जीडीपी नीचे चला गया. द एग्रीगेट डिमांड हैज गोन डाउन, दैट इज द रीजन. एंड नाउ वी नीड टू नोटिस what are the reasons behind, like why the aggregate demand has been falling. There must be some reason. So the first reason is of income of the local rural areas. Income of the rural people has not been increasing. Like it has only increased 1% in a recent year. So that is quite less. Only 1% increase in their income cannot increase their demand at the aggregate level. So that is the reason. And the second, that our exports has not reached its potentials. As we all know, the global trade, India contributes in global trade at around 2% only. So global important exports का जो हम करते हैं वो आयात और निर्यात only 2% है. So there is also we are lagging behind in the global trade. That is also the reasons. And sometimes we notice that in the recent years we have noticed demonetizations process in 2016, 8th November 2016. So that demonetization process itself has slowed down the process, and it is being debated now that after 2 years, after 2.5 years, what are the effects of demonetizations. डिमोनेटाइजेशन के जो है लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट देखने को मिल रहे हैं. एंड द थर्ड थिंग्स इज द जीएसटी. लाइक विद रेगुलेशन ऑफ जीएसटी, विद introduction of GST, in fact that has lowered down the transactions, economic transactions in the at the business level. Like the small scale industries जो थे, जो small businessmen हैं, they have come under the purview of GST, and now they have reduced their business level. There is not so much demand, the production is there, but the people are goods have become expensive after the introduction of GST, and some amount has been stuck in GST, which is called as input tax rate. जो input tax rate होता है, जो rebate गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से आता है GST में, when we file for GST, तो वो अमाउंट अराउंड 10 लाख करोड़ रुपीज GST रिटर्न के अंदर फंस चुके हैं. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो द रीजंस ऑफ स्लो डाउन इन द इकोनॉमी. So these were the reasons, and other than that we can say the slowdown has because of structural nature. Structures means government initiatives, government policies, plans has been has not been so productive. Like in the recent years, the government has announced, like MG Narega government has announced Indian scheme. Government has done several. Government has introduced several schemes, but they have not been so much effective in the recent years. And we have noticed that rural populations has not been fetching the has not been able to reap the benefits of the economic the actual economy. So these are some reasons why the GDP has come down of India, right? And the last point is that the slowdown is not in fact in India only. The slowdown is at the global level. So other countries like US, UK, other countries which is called as industrialized world, there also the economy has like the at global level, the economy slowdown has been felt by the economists, some of the experts. So वहाँ पर अगर अदर कंट्रीज में अगर स्लो डाउन होगा, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल यूएस वी आर द major exporters of US is the major destination for our exports. तो वहाँ पे हमारा एक्सपोर्ट नहीं हो पाएगा, एंड इफ वी आर नॉट एबल टू एक्सपोर्ट देन वी वोंट बी एबल टू get the foreign currency. We won't be able to fetch foreign currency in this way. एंड जो डिमांड फॉरेन कंट्री से हमारी हो रही थी वो डाउन चली गई है. दैट इज वाई द एग्रीगेट डिमांड हैज कम डाउन. That is also the reasons. So these were the reasons for this questions. If the question is asked why the Indian economy has gone to the slowdown phase, or the GDP has come down from 7% to 5% around, so these were some reasons. We can highlight these facts. And let me again read these all points in a bullet form. Like first reason we can say the slowdown has been because of the aggregate demand has come down. Second, we can say at the local level, the 70% around population of India is living in rural areas. Their income has not been increasing. That is also the reasons. The third reason that people people have not go on the government behalf. In fact, government has not been able to invest so much of fund into the infrastructures, and we have not been able to export. We have not been able to enhance our exports. That is also the reasons. And this slowdown has not been only in India. This has a global face. So in other country also, like Indian products have been demanded continuously. But this year we have seen that our exports has come down, and that is why this slowdown is there. So. And the last point we can say, some of the government initiatives, policies, plans has not been so productive. In fact, they have not been giving rise to the small businessmen are not getting any benefits. So after the introduction of GST, the small scale industries, small businessmen have in fact they have not been able to enhance their business. That is why this happened. So let me discuss the second question. Second questions we would like to talk about climate change process. And under climate change, like we all know, the climate change is happening continuously. For last 1 or 2 decades, we have felt that the global temperature has increased around 2%. So now what are the reasons behind? As we know, some of the protocols are there, like Kyoto protocols in 1997, which was introduced, which has been introduced under UNFCCC, so United Nations Framework for Climate Change. उसके अंडर में जो क्योटो प्रोटोकॉल इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था 1997 में, वी वुड लाइक टू डिस्कस सम ऑफ द फैक्ट्स. Under Kyoto protocols, like US has not been its signatory. Kyoto protocols has been signed by different countries, but US has not been its signatory. And China, which is the major contributor of these gases, like these harmful gases. So China has not ratified these conventions. So there is no obligations. Like China and US, these are the major contributor of this climate change process, but they have not signed it. And what will happen then? So India, in fact, India is not the major contributor. India's rank is somewhere around 8 or 9, so that is far behind from these industrialized countries. So what are the effects of this climate change? We have seen that, like, if we say for India, like, the climate has been changing continuously, and the temperatures has risen to an extent. So the fossil fuel consumptions has, in fact, इंडिया की जो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंजप्शन है, इंडिया का जो एनर्जी कंजप्शन है, वो बेसिकली फॉसिल फ्यूल से आता है. एंड फॉसिल फ्यूल्स इन फैक्ट जनरेट्स कार्बन. सो लाइक कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, मीथेन और अदर जितने भी गैसेज होती हैं, क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन्स एंड अदर गैसेज ऑल्सो, सो सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड्स. So these gases have been the major contributor of this climate change process. And in India, the energy का जो हमारा सोर्स है, जो हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज वर्क कर रही हैं या फिर और सेक्टर्स में जो हम एनर्जी कंजप्शंस के लिए रॉ मटेरियल यूज़ करते हैं, दैट कम्स फ्रॉम फॉसिल फ्यूल्स. फॉसिल फ्यूल्स आई मीन टू से पेट्रोलियम, डीजल, petroleum items and the natural gas. So these are the major contributor of this carbons, and the carbon gets added to the atmosphere, and thereby it increase the global temperatures. And this increase in temperature, in fact, results negatively. It harms the atmosphere because these are harmful gases which generates diseases. Number of diseases gets risen, and sea level is in fact rising. Because of that, the marine products, marine populations that is also been affected due to this global temperature rise. So these are the things we want to discuss. And other than that, the Kyoto Protocol, which is in fact the major important conventions I told you in 1997 which came in. And this Kyoto Protocol was in fact not binding on all countries, and that is why it has lost its significance in the modern world. Why? Because US, China, and other major contributors, if these countries are not signing these conventions, then there is this convention would not achieve its results which are expected out of it. So these are the reasons we need to discuss about. So इंडिया को इसमें क्या करना चाहिए? ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर जो राइज कर रहा है उसको हमें कम कैसे करना चाहिए? अभी रिसेंटली WTO के अंदर भी इसको डिस्कस किया गया था. So what India can do? India has to shift from its what all India is using now, fossil fuels energy. So India has to shift its energy consumptions from these fossil fuel items to like the natural energy source. Natural energy means which is renewable and non renewable. Renewable means like solar energy, wind energy, which can be renewed, which is like जो बार बार हमें मिलती रहेगी, that is called renewable. So renewable source of energy we need to explore, and we need to work out on that. Like solar energy, we have been International Solar Alliance, we have 2016 में we have introduced this. So other than that, wind energy पे focus करना होगा. Other energies like nuclear energy पे we can focus more on this. So coal का consumption जो हमारे इंडिया में हो रहा है, fossil fuels का जो consumption होता है, natural gas का, that we have to reduce. Why? Because climate change problem, climate change can have a multiple effect on the number of sectors. Like health sector पे बहुत बुरा असर पड़ेगा. Other than that, लोगों का जो लाइफस्टाइल है वो इफेक्ट हो जाएगा, एंड जो मेरीन प्रोडक्ट्स हैं वो कम हो जाएंगे, एनिमल्स और द प्रोडक्शन जो है वो भी ओवरऑल हैम्पर होगा. सो दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट. The third questions we want to discuss is of urban development. What is urban development? Basically, urban development is, we have seen in last 2 decades that people have been migrating to the urban city area from the grassroots level, like local people, the local area people, rural population in fact have been going to the city area in search of job, maybe in search of good life or good status. But there is now a problem. like in urban development has reached to its significant level. More than 30% populations of India now living in urban areas. But due to this heavy load of populations, like overcrowded, the urban or city area have become overcrowded now, and this over the large sum of population has in fact given rise to number of problems, like there is a pollutions problem. As we take an example of Delhi, like there is high level of pollutions, and the overcrowdedness, jams, roads, blockades, and there are like a number of accidents happens, like people have not been able to drive smoothly. So there are a number of problems from this, and people have been living in those slum area, some of the pockets of Delhi, like we have, which has become slum, and that has given rise to the number of problems. Then the air gases quality, air quality has become so cheap, like so these are the problems of urban development now, as we have noticed. Other than that, there are the positives of urban development. People, when people come from the rural areas in search of job, in search of like good educations, maybe there are the hospitals, educations, the schools, or other facilities are quite nearby. Like people need not to buy their vehicle. Why? Because there is a transport facility, online or offline. So it is very easy to access a transport, it is very easy to access the hospitals, it is very access to is very I mean easy to access all these public utility goods, so in city area. So that is why people prefer city area over rural area. So that's why they are migrating, and here like the employment issue is not there. In urban area, people have been people are able to like generate some sort of income, and that is why they are migrating to this city area. But that overflow of population has in fact some negative connotations also. Like what are the negative results of this overpopulations in city area? One is like people have started living in flat, people have started living in some of the pockets, and some of the area have become so crowded that their quality of life, the lifestyle has got hampered, and people have there have been so much chaos, like number of problems gets reasons. Even we have noticed like people gets enrolled, there is less security issue is also there. A number of law and order problem arise due to over populations. So we have to we have to deal with both of the sides. So this was of urban development. There is positive and the negative sides as well. And what are the positives? Positives are in fact higher than the negatives of urban development, and we can add some other points, like due to urban development has in fact, if we can do a management, if we can manage the whole populations which has been coming to the city area, in the smaller area large number of people can live in the city or the nearby places. So that can be managed, and these we need to focus on these negative aspects, what all negatives are there in the urban area. We have to deal them with a strong hand. Like if there is a climate change issue, we need to assure the good quality of air, and how we can reduce the number of vehicles, private vehicles. We can increase or maximize the range of these public buses or public transports. So that way we can we will be like we will be able to deal with the situation of this chaos like situations. So this was whole like discussions about these two topics. Thank you so much.